When we entered the 2021 season, the expectation for Ke'Bryan Hayes wasn't just about winning Rookie of the Year. It was to what extent, to what extreme he would run away with it. Good morning to you. Good Wednesday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Pirates. Comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into football and or hockey, I also offer up daily shots of Steelers and Penguins. Right where you found this. The Pirates can sweep a team again today. Oh, man. They beat the Diamondbacks last night 4-2. Pretty thorough performance by all involved. Michael Chavis, new guy, went 2 for 4 with a home run. JT Brubaker with 5 solid innings, probably meant more than anything that happened in this one, given how much he'd struggled of late. And they could do it again. They've had 10 other tries at this. This will be the 11th. We'll see if they pull it off. Ke'Bryan Hayes also went 1 for 3 with a triple and a walk and did his usual good things at third base. And that's pretty much where it feels like his rookie season has settled. His rookie season, of course, like all rookie seasons this year, are more like sophomore seasons, because if you came up in 2020, it was just the 60-game schedule and everything else. And Key, of course, didn't make it until the second half of that 60-game schedule. He comes up, he looks like just an absolute world beater when he does. Creaming the ball to all fields, batting over 400. Actually was in the discussion, remarkably, for that season's Rookie of the Year. And so he comes into this one, his very first at bat at Wrigley Field on opening day, cracks it 420 feet, and you're thinking, this is just a truly transformational talent that the Pirates have. And we're talking about everything shy of adding to the statue collection around PNC Park with Ke'Bryan. And I did try to say at the time that wasn't fair. And I did try to say at the time that even when he does come back down to earth, and we all kind of go, what the heck were we excited about? That's not going to be the reality either. It was always going to be something kind of in between. And if you look at the kind of season that Ke'Bryan's having, the thing that stands out by a mile is the 72 games played. Less than half a season. He missed 3 months and change with that wrist injury that he sustained right after that game at Wrigley Field. And when he came back, according to all concerned, that wrist wasn't going to just magically allow him to swing with the same pop that he'd done before. That'll sound strange to some people, but because you think, well, he's been cleared, right? He's healthy. The strength doesn't immediately return to all facets of the wrist. It just doesn't. There's too many tiny little parts in there that are difficult to train, and it takes a lot of repetition to get the wrist back to where it needs to be. His numbers aren't exactly bad. Batting .250 now with 5 homers and 28 RBIs, just the 4 steals. But again, it's just in 72 games, 264 at-bats. It's less than half of a season. If you project those out over a full season, obviously all you got to do is double them, and they'd be a disappointment. If it was a full season. But it isn't. It's half a season, and it's a half a season that was interrupted with the kind of injury that really messes you up. The reason that I'm going over all of this is that I get the sense among some in the fan base that we were all misguided to ever have been excited about Ke'Bryan Hayes. We just pumped the guy up too much. Whether that was people like me in the media, whether it was the more diehard, hopeful, optimistic fans. And I don't think so. Take this from the guy who was doing the reverse when he was Ted Williams Jr. This is still very much a player who can do special things in the majors. And I'm not just talking about his superlative defense. Because that's the thing that I hear now. He's going to be a great defender over there and we can just put up with an ordinary bat. He's not going to be an ordinary bat. You don't do the things that he did in August of 2020 and all through this spring training in 2021 by just being some ordinary thing. I feel like he's going to need a good, full, healthy offseason, a good, full, healthy spring training, and then 2022 will allow him to have the kind of breakthrough that we saw this year from Bryan Reynolds. Very, very different circumstances here, and I'm not suggesting Ke'Bryan will be an MVP candidate the way Reynolds has been and all that other stuff. I'm saying that he needs and deserves to have one full, healthy year in the majors before any kind of assessment or projection about him would be fair. When we come back, just one question. Welcome back. It's time for Just One Question. That's brought to you always on this program by the good people at the North Shore Tavern, directly across Federal Street from PNC Park, and right next to Mike's Beer Bar, companion venture, conveniently enough. North Shore Tavern is home to Steak on a Stone, which has to be experienced as well as eaten to be believed. It's also the home of the planet's only fully dedicated Pirates bar. Hard to describe how amazing this place is for a Pirates fan. Front to back, wall to wall, ceiling to floor, Pirates memorabilia. Come check out North Shore Tavern directly across Federal Street from PNC Park. Today's question comes from John, who asks, what role, if any, do you see veteran players having in the Pirates' rebuild process moving forward? I'd say it's case by case, John, but I'd also point out that the team itself is a lot more open to having older players. And by older, I think we're talking about, something in the 29 to 32 range, not crazy older, being a part of this. I asked Ben Cherington just a couple nights ago about his approach to this sort of thing, meaning how he'd feel about getting players who don't really look like they fit into the age group of the next wave of Greensboro Grasshoppers, right? His response was focusing on young player acquisition, like the draft, international, trades, development. Those are obvious, but good teams have players who come from everywhere. And as you know, players can change at any point in a career, maybe even more now than in the past. It's a pretty good answer, because not only is he saying, we'll take your older player, we also won't be closed-minded to the idea that your older player can get better. The player doesn't have to be who he is or be what he's shown you. And I believe that to an extent, the Pirates have exhibited that in 2021, most strikingly with Kevin Newman. Not that Newman's some old dude or whatever, but Newman's past prospect age at 27, and you do get to wondering, with all the soft contact and everything else, is this just who he is? And they just don't give up on him. And he, in turn, doesn't give up either. He's become a better defender. He's hit the ball a lot better in the past month than he did in the first 4. I think he's got 10 doubles in the past month, and he had 9 over the first 4. But maybe the better example is someone like Yoshi Tsutsugo, where you bring him in and you see what he's got, and if he does have something, and if he fits, and we went over him in great detail yesterday, remember that all of the same rules of the current collective bargaining agreement, depending on how that thing shakes out this winter, still apply, meaning that you keep the player for 6 full years before they can hit free agency. So if that's years 22 to 28 in terms of age, great. If it's 29 to 35 and those are their best years, great. It's not as simple as it is in other sports because you can still be an effective older player, which leads me to the guy that I really wanted to bring up in this answer, and that's Jacob Stallings. I've openly called for the Pirates to strongly consider extending him. He's 30 years old, so he's not going to be part of something that's, 4 or 5, 6 years down the road or whatever. But his skill set as the very best defensive catcher in baseball, that has value. And I think this goes to the crux of the question that you asked. That has value to a lot more people than just the catching position. He picks up all of his pitchers. He allows them to throw the ball in the dirt. He allows them to take risks and gambles and counts and base situations where they normally wouldn't, where you'd never call for a slider, and the hitter would know that you'd never call for a slider, except that Stallings is back there, and you can throw the slider with bases loaded. That's the kind of catcher he is. And add on top of all that he hasn't exactly been a disappointment at the plate. He's not going to light the world on fire. He's going to be a 240, 250 hitter. And depending on the degree to which you believe in clutchiness, he's been pretty clutch, too. All the guy does is deliver big hit after big hit after big hit. So, yeah, there's room. There's room. Maybe more than a lot of people will realize. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Pirates. Let's do another one of these tomorrow after an actual sweep. What do you say? An actual sweep.